Okay, guys, so in your journals, if you will, put whatever page you are on. I'm on 79, and we're going to talk about factoring by grouping today. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to this, and if you want to go ahead and pause and write that for me, that would be great. Okay, when you're grouping, this now has 4 terms. Y'all have been used to seeing just 2 or 3, so now it's just a polynomial. What you're going to do is the first step is split the problem in half. After you split it in half, you're going to take the GCF of both sides. Now, when you take the GCF, if 1 is your GCF, you have to take 1 because you have to have something on both sides. Okay, the GCFs become your first factor, so whatever you divided by on both sides, and whatever you get when you divide it by becomes a second factor, and it should be the same thing. So, for your examples, there are a total of 6, and what we're going to do, you're going to come in here, there's 4 terms, so 3x to the third plus 15x squared, split it in half right there, negative 2x and minus 10. Okay, I'm going to see what can divide out of both 3x to the third and 15x squared, which I can take a 3 out of those, and I can also take an x squared out of those. Okay, now I'm going to see what I can pull out of negative 2x and negative 10, which I can take out a negative 2. Since it starts with a negative, you pull a negative. If it starts with a positive, you don't. Excuse me. So when I divide by 3x squared, 3x to the third divided by 3x squared is x. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and x squared would cancel, so I'm going to put parentheses. Okay, negative 2 divided by negative 2 would leave me with just x, and negative 10 divided by negative 2 is positive 5. So if you see, your parentheses are the same. So here's how you write your answer. You take your first 2 things you divided by, 3x squared minus 2. That becomes your first factor. And then you just pull down 1 of those parentheses, and that's your second factor. And that is your answer. Okay, for number 2, 8x squared plus 12x, splitting the problem in half. 2xy and 3y. Over here on the left side, I can pull out 4 can come out of both of those, and an x can come out of both of those. Over here, 2xy and 3y, all I can pull out is y. Okay, when I divide by 4x, that gives me 2x, and 12x divided by 4x gives me 3. Okay, when I divide by y over here, the y's cancel to give me 2x, and the y's canceled to give me 3. So if these parentheses are the same, then you did it right. So you pull your GCFs, 4x plus y, pull down 1 of your parentheses, and circle, box, whatever you want to do for your answer. Okay, for number 3, I have x to the third plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 10. I divide my problem in half. This side, the leading coefficient's a 1, so all I can take out is the x squared, the small letter. Over here, it starts with a negative, so I pull a negative 5, because 5 can come out of both of those. When I divide, I'm subtracting my exponents, so that leaves me with x and plus 2. This over here, a negative divided by a negative would leave me with a positive x, and negative 10 divided by negative 5 would leave me with a positive 2. If my parentheses are the same, I have my answer right. So I open up for my first factor, and I have x squared minus 5, because you pull your GCFs. And then you bring down 1 of the parentheses, and that would be your answer. Okay, for number 4, I've got 2x squared y plus 6xy minus x minus 3. I split the problem in half. I am going to see what can come out of both of those, and that would be a 2. I can pull an x and a y. Over here, all I can pull is a negative 1. They don't have anything in common, but since it starts with negative, I have to pull a negative 1. Okay, when I divide, 2 divided by 2 will get me 1. I will keep x because they subtract a 1 and the y's cancel. And then plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. Both the x and the y cancel. When I divide by 1 here, that makes the x become positive, and a negative 3 divided by negative 1 makes the 3 become positive. So now my parentheses are the same. So my first factor with the GCFs is 2xy minus 1, and then I pull down what I had left over, and I had x plus 3, and there's my answer. Okay, just 2 more examples. I'm going to go ahead and divide this problem in half. Over here on the left side, I can pull out a 3 and an m. And over here, I could pull out a -2 since it starts with a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. The m's cancel, and I'm left with n. -9 divided by 3 is -3, and the m's will cancel. -4 divided by -2 is +2, and I keep the n. 6 divided by -2 is -3. Since these are the same, I pull my first factor from my GCFs, and I bring down one parentheses, and there's my answer. Okay, for my last example, got a lot of letters on this one. I could pull out an x squared on the left side, and I can pull out a 2 on the right side. Okay, from here, excuse me, when I pull out x squared, that leaves me with y squared minus 3. And when I pull it out over here, the 2's will cancel to give me y squared, and -6 divided by 2 is -3. So since those are the same, my first factor is x squared plus 2, and my second factor is y squared minus 3. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know.